First thing we're going to check up on, does everyone understand the four quadrants? That all the trigonometric functions are positive from 0 to 90. So, like cos 45, sin 45, tan 45 are all positive. But then when you go from 90 to 180, sin 135 will be positive, but tan 135 will be negative, and cos 135 will be negative. Everybody understand that? Okay, great. Now, what we do with every question is, we go down and we ignore this part here and we just say that's sin r. Step 1, ignore if it's 2 theta, 3 theta, 3x. Just ignore that completely, okay? Next thing, sin is positive. So what's the location of the two answers if sin is positive? And what's the other location? So is everybody happy that we're targeting quadrants 1 and 2? Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to say sin r equals a half, and now we're going to sin inverse a half. Russell suggests activity suspension. I don't want to get purpose and issue. How do I see that? It's a Formula 1 thing that popped up there. Really weird. Good idea, Russell. Now, sin inverse a half, what you get? Everybody happy we get 30 degrees? Alright. What's the answer for the second quadrant? What's the answer for the second quadrant? 150, alright? And so, sorry, the angles are 150, alright? So your two answers are 30 and 150, alright? Rub out that. What are we actually looking for? It's 2 theta, isn't it? Now, the problem is there's more than two answers. You can go around forever. If your first answer is 30, yeah, and your second answer is 150, what happens when you do a complete circle and come back up at 390? You end up at exactly the same position. So your two answers are located here. 30 degrees is roughly here, 150 degrees is roughly here. And the deal is that there's infinite answers. You can keep going around this circle as long as you want, and you will keep clocking up two answers every rotation. Have I lost anybody there? So when's the next two answers? 390, isn't it? And then add 360 onto 150? 510. Now, to combat this issue, the answer for 2 theta is 30 degrees plus 360 degrees multiplied by n. What does n stand for? How many times you go around the circle. If you go around once, it'll give us the answer of 390, won't it? Likewise, for the second set of answers. Now, I've obviously made one error in my full setup for the answer. Can anybody explain what the error is? I haven't made a mistake, but I just haven't given them what they wanted. Has to be in radians. Does anybody know how to convert degrees into radians? And add on a pi. So what's 30 divided by 180 and then add on a pi? Pi over. What's 360 in terms of pi? So that's why I have 2n pi here. Is that okay? And 150 divided by 180? 5 pi over 6. Okay? Now, is everybody happy that I've successfully converted them into radians? Now, have I got the answer as I want it? If you reread the question, what does it want from me? It wants the answer for theta. It doesn't want the answer for 2 theta. So what do I need to do with the 2's? So what does it say? Divide by 2, and what do we get? Pi over 12. 2n pi divided by 2. Yeah. And this one here? Yeah. And? Now, if you wanted to physically know what this actually means, is that sub in any n value you want. Now, alright lads, So an answer would be something like this. What happens if I put n equal to 1? What will happen there? What would be the first answer? You close that for me, it's just distracting somebody. Pi over 6, yeah? Plus what? So pi over 6, or sorry, pi over 12. And if I put n equal to 1, what does that mean?
Plus pi.
Just plus pi. And that would be your first, that'd be your second answer. Right? And what happens if we put n equals 2? That'd be another answer. Okay? And you just keep going and it'll list off all the answers for you. So that's why it's called the general equation. We'll list off any answer you want. Is that okay with you guys? Alright, what does 5 look like? Oh, degrees. Thank God. Radians is just, as I said, many of us, it's just a harder currency as well. Oh, no, I did not want that. I want this. So see this thing I'm copying and pasting all the time? You need to know that off by heart. You can throw it into your tables if you want, I don't mind, but come leaving cert, you need to know that off by heart. So you can draw that at the back of your tables, you can use it in 5th year exams, but come leaving cert time you need to know that off by heart. Is that alright? The sooner you know it off by heart, the better. Okay? Now, Joe, it's positive. So where's the 2 locations where cos is positive?
In 270 0.
Yeah, A and C, yeah? So we highlight that that's sector 4, don't we?
Yeah.
We highlight that this is R. Cos inverse root 3 over 2. It's 30. Alright? So one of the answers is 30 degrees. But what's the other answer?
330.
330. Next thing we do is we unmask what we're actually asked for. We're actually asked for 3 theta, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to mark in the locations of your 2 answers. 30 is located here, and 330 is located here. So Joe, what's the issue with this stuff? How many times will these 2 answers appear?
Infinity.
Okay, so how do I write that down? How do I show that these answers continue pretty much forever? What do I write beside it?
Pi n, isn't it?
360 degrees by n. So, or 2 pi n. So that shows you that these answers repeat every 360 degrees. Now in this case we're dividing by 3. So what happens when you divide by 3? Divide everything by 3. 30 by 3. 360 by 3. 120. Alright? And then here? Anybody? 110 and 120 yen. Okay? If you were looking for an error, or you wanted to quickly check your answers correct, what would be the first answer? What we already know, so start off with n equals 0. What's the first answer? 10. What's the second answer? Start off with n equals 0 on the second one. 110. Start off with n equals 1 on the first one. 130. Start off with n equals 0, n equals 1 on the second one. Now guess what happens? See all these angles here, yeah? If I throw them back into the original equation, but I stand them in for theta, look what happens. And this is you checking your answer, right? Make sure it's in degree mode, because you need it in degrees. Shift, setup, angle unit, degrees. Alright? And look what happens. What's cos 3 times 10? What's 3 times 10? What's cos 30? 3 over 2. What's cos 3 times 110? What's 3 times 110? Oh, that's also root 3 over 2. What's cos 3 times 130? 3 times 130, anybody? 390. Why am I multiplying it by 3 again? It's 3 theta. That was 4 theta, I'll be multiplying them by 4. Alright? Oh, they all work. Happy days. This means that this here is the general solution for this particular equation. Is that alright? Would you be happy that 6 is similar to what we did already? Alright, and we should probably move on to something else. You can re-look up 6 later on if you want, alright? You should understand it's the same thing as 4. The only difference with 6 is, see the way it's a negative sign? What does that mean? For sign. And what is the negative sectors for sign? It'd be located in T and C. And you ignore the fact that it's negative then. You just say plus root 3 over 2 is actually 60 degrees. But 60 degrees isn't an answer. Why is it not an answer? Because that would be positive sign, wouldn't it? And you just lob in 60 into both these regions. Regions 3 and 4. And there's your two answers. What's it? 240 and 300. And then you do exactly what you did in the previous questions, okay? We're going to do more similar questions now anyway. So look, here's one exactly like it right now. Alright, do you guys want to have a go ahead of me? Degree mode, which is nice. Alright lads, sign is negative, which means you're dealing with quadrants 3 and 4. Ignore the fact that it's negative and just slot in an R. Sine inverse 1 over root 2. Anybody get 45? So the R value is 45 degrees. But we need to slot them into rules 3 and 4. So what do you get? 225 and? Was it? 315, yeah. Happy days. Now, there are two of the possible answers, but it can take place with any amount of rotation. So what you do there? Yeah. And then what you do at the very end then, divide by? 3. 75, 120 yen, and what's the other one? 105. And? 120 yen. Is that okay with you guys? Who got it ahead of me, or anybody? Yeah. Any questions about it? Reread the question. Does it want the general solution? What solution does it want? Just the regular numbers from 0 to 360, but it's okay, we can use the general solution to get these answers. Alright, sub in n equals 0, what do you get for the two of them? 75 and 105. Sub in n equals 1, and what do you get this time? 195 and? Anybody? You just have to add on 120 every time, don't you? That's when you deal with n equals 2. 315 and the other one? 340. So does everybody understand I'm just subbing in the n values into the general equations? The two general equations are the blue ones here. And I'm just subbing in the n values back into it. Start off with n equals 0, and that gives me all the answers from 0 to 360. Is that okay with you guys? Alright.
Sir,
Yo.
do you want me to go from 0 to 2?
Yes, because the next one would be above 360. If I do n equals 3, that would have me at, it's a good question, that would have me at 435 and 465. And in this question it doesn't want me to go that high. So that's why I wouldn't do that. Alright. This one here is quite easy. Just bring down the 2 and what happens? You get 4 cos 4 theta equals root 3 over 2. Alright, do the same procedure again lads. Off you go. And use your rules. Now, problem this one is we're going to convert it to radians at the very end, aren't we? So we're going to get the answer in terms of degrees, and then we'll convert it all to radians last second. Alright? So, has everybody identified quadrant 4 and quadrant 1 as our two locations? Because cos is positive. Okay? Next thing we're looking at is we're going to change that to r. What happens when you cos inverse root 3 over 2? There we get 30 degrees? Alright, awesome. Now you know it's 30 degrees, so you have two answers. You have 4 theta equals 30 degrees, and you have 4 theta equals to what? What's the other one? 330. Okay. Now, the next, what we do then is we add on our 360, and if we were to do degrees. So that's the degree format, but we actually don't want the degree format, we want radian format. So how do we convert degree format into radian format? Can anybody tell me? Wherever your angle is, divided by 180 and add on a pi. So what's the first, what's answer set A and answer set B? So we'll start with answer set A. What does that turn into? What's 30 degrees? Pi over 6. 360? So 2m pi, okay with you guys? Or 2 pi m for some people. Okay, and what about answer set B? Huh? Yeah, 11 pi over 6. And 2n pi. Now we're not done, we got to divide them both by 4, don't we? You know, so we divide them both by 4. Pi over 24, yeah. Huh? Oh, sorry, theta equals pi over 24 and just pi over 2. Oh, sorry, n pi over 2. Because you're dividing that by 4, and 2 over 4 is a half. Alright. Anybody get this before me? Yeah. What about the other one? 11 pi over 24 and pi n over 2. Alright, and that'll give you all the answers you want. Alright, gents. So, I think we have the gist, do we? So, try, yeah, 8, 13 and 14 for later, okay?